This is It Has Pockets,
a podcast about celebrating our everyday and sharing the things we're all holding. I'm Abby.
and I'm Laura. I want to talk about TikTok. I know. Okay, before everybody just hears that and goes, no, skip. No, don't skip. I swear this is important because even if you are someone who's refusing to get the app for one of the many very, very valid and very legitimate reasons not to get a TikTok, unless you're just like dying on the hill that you're a millennial and you're going to stick to nostalgia and not take in a new app, this is important for us to know. And specifically, I want to talk about TikTok Shop.
Okay, wait. Let's talk for a second about why people don't have TikTok and answer some of those questions, because I feel like you just kind of like...
Well, okay, but I don't want to hype TikTok. I don't want this to be a sell or a pitch on TikTok. That is not the situation here. I just think this is something that we should all really know about, and especially as parents.
Because TikTok is here to stay, I think is what you're trying to say.
Seemingly, yeah.
And right now, it's ahead of the game of all other social media platforms. And it's going to be the one that if your child is getting into social media, it's going to be the one that they're probably going to enter into social media on.
Yes.
Would you say that that's correct?
Absolutely. I would even say that's good context. I would even say that the usual TikTok users, primarily younger than me and Abby, are using it as a search engine. So I don't think that this is really something that you can even just put in a place that is only considered social media.
Okay.
Because it's actually going far beyond that. And now TikTok Shop has changed it even further.
So TikTok has gone beyond a connective
do you remember when it first started and everyone was just like dancing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just like fun
we were all like,
dances.
Let's distract from this world we're living in. It's all bad. Dance.
Yeah.
That's changed.
Okay.
Every single person has their own corner of TikTok. You know how Facebook and Instagram kind of do this thing where they figure out what you want and then they start filtering out things that you don't want. So then, you hear the
algorithm,
the echo chamber, all these sort of things.
We're like, it's listening to us.
So TikTok takes that to a different level and gets very specific, very good. Like the algorithm is great. It's very, very
effective.
Good.
It's very effective.
Very effective.
Let's not use moral words.
Yes.
It's very effective.
The algorithm is extremely effective. It's no longer dancing and everyone can have their own corners. And some corners are really fun and some are really wholesome and some are really sweet. Others are scary, worrisome, filled with misinformation, which is something that we deal with across platforms. But this is so much more of an issue on TikTok. Like the shortest video can be 3 seconds.
Right. But they can also be extremely long.
Yes, they can be 3 seconds to 10 minutes.
Which I know because yesterday, while I was packaging packages for my business.
Did you make a 10-minute video?
I did not. I listened to a woman.
Are you on the part, Who Did I Marry?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I made it to part 3 and
I'm at 17 because I had so much time.
Okay. If you don't know what we're talking about, these are the kind of things. You get multi-part series of people who are uploading potentially 10 minutes in each video, and then you can have an unlimited number of, quote, parts in this.
Yes.
So I've heard this Who Did I Marry thing
it's
goes
basically,
up to like part 50-something.
It's like 58, and I didn't realize that when I started, and I was just like, hey, this is a fun way to have a body double while I work. I get to 17, which again, 17 times 10 minutes, I'm not doing the math right now, is a really long time.
That is.
And I was like, surely I'm nearing the end. No. But it is interesting because I had not done that yet. I had not been a part of a longer form way that TikTok is being used. I'm very much a casual TikTok user. Like I dip in every once in a while when I decide I really want to just zone out and scroll. So as a casual user of TikTok, I think one of the questions I've had is this really here to stay? Do I have to jump on a new bandwagon? What is this TikTok Shop stuff?
Okay, TikTok Shop, where do I even start? Just kidding, I exactly know where. Okay, TikTok Shop is Do you remember a few years ago whenever Instagram rolled out a shop option within the tab, and it was just a huge failure?
Well, everyone was I was a maker at the time, and so I saw people try to use it, but it was not effective, and it definitely was taking money from the pockets of people who need to have it.
So TikTok did it, and they did it really well. This is important. You need to know this, because if you are not purchasing things, your kids probably are.
So, or have the capacity to.
Yes, absolutely. Have the capacity to. A couple of years ago, TikTok launched their e-commerce site within the app. That means that you do not have to leave the app to purchase. You can now purchase things directly from a video. Right now, it feels like a mix between Amazon and Temu, where you have reputable, well-known, established brands, and then you also have what would be considered cheap junk. And they're all alongside each other in this app. If you've bought stuff off of TikTok Shop, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to explain this, because a lot of us have put on blinders and said, I don't want to think about this. I don't want to think about this app. But we kind of have to, especially as parents and just as people. After they launched the shop, it did very, very well. The brands, these products that are on there, they are required to meet criteria that the TikTok Shop has outlined. Of course, we know this to be very, very not taken seriously.
When I buy something from the TikTok Shop, is it like Amazon where I'm buying it from one central location, or is it just a thoroughfare for other people to sell their stuff? Are you seeing small businesses selling through TikTok?
Yes, there are good things and there are bad things about the TikTok Shop. Small businesses and creators can set up shops. They have to go through a process to prove that they're authorized to sell and that they'll stick with the criteria. I cannot emphasize enough. That's the same as saying, yes, you have to be 18 years old. We know already that social media sites don't crack down on minors on social media.
They do not care.
So, after small businesses and brands have gone through the process of setting up a shop, creators of all sizes and anyone can tag the products and videos. They can host live shopping sessions and essentially make it a modern day QVC.
So somebody can sell their own product on the shop, but then can they also create basically a boutique?
Yes.
From TikTok sponsored items and put them in their own shop? Like what we've seen on Instagram where people will go to have an Amazon storefront?
Yes. After you have created your shop as a small business owner, assuming that you have checked the boxes that have fit the criteria, you are now allowed to invite creators to sell these things. Creators are essentially independent contractors that are being invited by these brands to then take part, which some of them are incredible brands that I already use, products that I have already on my shelf, all these kind of things. Let's say you're watching a video, you're like, oh my gosh, that is the best eye cream I've ever seen.
Sure.
All you have to do is click on the tiny little link at the bottom. It pulls up and you very seriously just double tap and you have bought it.
And this is happening within the app, so you're not being pushed to a second app.
Correct. Through Apple Pay.
Through Apple Pay?
Yeah, you set up through Apple Pay.
So it's incredibly easy.
So easy.
Which is, we all know.
I've almost accidentally bought stuff. And I'm not even going to pretend. I'm not going to sit here and act like I haven't bought stuff off the TikTok Shop.
Yes. But it is like an affiliate link. So I have an affiliate link and you have had affiliate links through your Instagram.
Yes.
I'm very honest about that. This is my affiliate link. This is a product that I care about. I want to do. You know, I use it all the time. And I have that. I haven't pursued that a lot, but I have one thing that I've done that with. So that's really transparent. But I'm also just not picking randomly from a plethora of options.
Correct.
I'm not creating a relationship with a company.
Yes.
Okay, so this is different.
This is very different. This is, I'm just scrolling. Oh my gosh, that's a fun video.
Yeah.
Oh, I could just like buy that right now, right here. It's like, it's essentially impulse shopping.
Okay. I mean, it's the equivalent of a door-to-door salesman in the most invasive way.
Yes,
because you literally are opening your door and saying, hey, come on in. So my question is, when I'm more on Instagram, that's my social media platform that I spend the most time in. So there's a lot of conversation about like sponsored posts, sponsored ads. Same with like YouTube, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is being sponsored by stuff. Does it come across like people are being sponsored, or does it come across like they're just...
And honestly, I don't know that the same FTC guidelines apply. Right now, there is a huge problem with transparency among creators in TikTok. And there's a huge problem with brands jumping through loopholes. And there's just all kinds of concerns about, yes, money flow, because in reality, the creator's not getting a lot. Also, what happens when the creator is under 18?
Right.
Things like that.
So it's a Wild West.
Yes.
And creative people who know how to sell and they know how to pivot are going to do really well with it, which is what we've seen on every social media platform. And that can be really great. It is amazing to be able to be seen by so many people. We talked about this in our online friendship episode. One of the great things about the internet is that you get to connect with people you never would be able to in real life.
And you can connect to these small businesses in really beautiful ways. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of really, really sketchy things going on. We've got scammers.
What? No, on the internet?
Right? There are all kinds of reports of people who buy things, never receive it, all of that. And they can't really be held to a standard.
Right.
There's no regulation.
Worst that's going to happen to you is your account gets taken down.
And then you are just getting junk or raising prices. I bought that like lip stain lip liner.
Sure.
So I bought that for, and I don't want anyone to show up in my DMs and be like, oh my God, Laura, you're so dumb. You bought that. I did. Okay.
I
fell for it.
We're allowed to make mistakes.
Exactly. So I think the price that I bought it for was about $20.
Yeah.
Not crazy, but like nice.
Yeah.
Then a little bit of shipping. It was not terrible. But then... just like last week, I was making an Ulta order online because I'm lazy and I don't like to go into stores. And I ran across the exact same brand and lip liner, and it was $12.
Love that.
And I was like, great, same
We're not
colors.
talking about a sale in person. We're talking about another place on the internet was cheaper, which is such a huge thing. That is happening all the time.
And I totally fell for it, and that's fine. So it's just, that's kind of just playing off of the impulse, because I think if we all took a step back and we were like, hey, do I want to buy this rice water protein thing that this woman is jarring up in her kitchen and selling for hair growth, which is an actual product for sale in the TikTok shop? What are we thinking?
I think for me, when I hear that element to it, it's frustrating because you're talking about products that, again, you can get cheaper other places.
Yeah.
And aren't necessarily unique, and the fact that you paid more is not going to a small business, it's not going to a family or a person.
It's not even really going to a creator, it's just going to TikTok.
So I buy a lot of books, and I will go to sites that end up costing me more than the big place that most people get books, because I don't want to support that place. And it's worth it to me to know that a small percentage of this is going to go to a local bookstore, or I use bookshop.org a lot, which it's incredible.
Super cool.
So that to me is different. When the sales pitch is both making you pay more, and at the end of the day, the money is going to the same huge conglomerate,
and then now
that's frustrating.
I'm now running across videos because I bought it. So now TikTok is like, yes, girl, she loves lip gloss. And so I get these videos now of people who are like, I feel so sorry that I bought, now they're on sale for $10, which sounds amazing, right? Until you realize that regularly full price at Ulta, they're $12.
Right.
So it's just exhausting, because it's just another way that we have to remember not to be impulse shopping, which of course, as adults, we can take a step back. Kids, no way.
Yeah.
Kids
Let's talk about that, because my children
wait.
More.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you thought that was it? Wrong. So we've got concerns around regulation with homemade products and things like that. You're getting things made in people's kitchen.
Wow.
Skincare. I do think that there are some edible and like food consumables that you can buy. Another issue is that our general authority for purchasing is changing in that now it's fitness and beauty influencers. Then you get into a realm of just straight up harmful product. I read this article on Washington Post and it said, while TikTok Shop is blocked entirely for accounts under the age of 18, the app does not verify the ages of its users, by the way, minors can still encounter potentially dangerous products for sale through the normal search bar. When a reporter searched for the term buy diet pills using an account set up for a 14-year-old, the first search result led to a profile containing a link to a third-party site claiming to sell phentermine, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's like diet speed.
That's awful.
Yes.
That makes me sick to my stomach.
That personally reminds me of the Amazon lawsuit that happened a couple years ago.
Tell me about
where
it.
Amazon was selling sodium nitrate, which is fatal. There were some young people who bought it to end their lives. You have this blurry area, and if you're not regularly talking with your kids about how to use social media or even how to exercise wisdom in purchasing, it could get crazy really fast. And the idea that, oh, my kids aren't using them, or you're, first of all, minors are absolutely using them. Mm-hmm. Second of all, if you think that your kids are not using TikTok, you might want to check again with them.
Right.
And I know you're sitting there going, not my kid. He or she is just so great. There's no way. I have watched kids hand over phones to each other to sign into their accounts because they don't have a phone, but they have accounts set up that other friends will allow them to have their phones. So
my kids don't have devices.
Sure.
Like,
your kid doesn't have. Does not matter if they have a device or not, because if their friends have devices, they have access.
Okay. This is just a good reminder, I think, as parents and as older people, that you are going to get so much more leeway by not just attacking the thing, but having curious questions about what your child would be interested in seeing.
Right.
And that is up to every parent. I know every situation is different. This is not prescriptive.
It's very individualized. It's just really emphasizing the fact that we can't put up blinders. To be able to understand what's going on and to be able to efficiently guide our kids and younger people in how to use social, that actually means that we need to understand social to a certain extent as well.
Well, and I think it's both. I think it's knowing how to use it, but also what you even did here today is being honest about how those things affected you and how you bought things out of impulse. I think that those are really wonderful gateways into those conversations with your kids. When something shows up at our door, at your door, and you're like, "Oh gosh, I forgot that I ordered this." Yeah. That is a great place to start a conversation with your child and just point out to them, like, "Hey, I had this impulse, and so I bought this, and then this is what this looks like." I think that's like
I haven't done that yet.
It's understanding what the platform does and what the engine does, but I think there's also just that personal space of saying, this is how my buying habits are affected by the internet.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah, because how I spend my money, that's an example that they're watching. And this sort of like, it's just happening in the background and they're not picking up on those things is not true.
No, I actually have a book, kids book about advertising, because it is so organic in TikTok that it's really, really hard to distinguish.
How are they getting qualified to do that?
TikTok has a creator program, which I don't remember when they unveiled it, but I know I signed up. You have to have at least 10,000 followers, and I have barely over that from a couple videos that took off. And essentially the creator is an independent contractor getting paid by TikTok for the number of views, the authenticity of views, and the content engagement rate. Those are the things that TikTok has listed that they go by. There is no cap for earnings, which sounds amazing, but it's not, because remember, you only get a slice.
So you get a slice of when a product gets sold?
Yes.
If your video is linked to it.
Correct.
So it's not about how many views your particular video gets?
Correct. You don't have to actually have... You can have billions of views and still make like $30.
Interesting.
Again, Wild West.
Yeah. That's frustrating.
I mean, to be fair, you can earn money. It does happen. I don't want to say that no one ever earns money from TikTok. So here's where I start to get into a place where I'm like, I already don't like that the purchasing power is so readily available, especially for minors. I don't like that there's no regulations, but this is where it took me to another level, and it has to do with my understanding of the influencer business. Whenever I signed up for the TikTok creator world, I was given, quote, samples and, quote, coupons. The first one was like a $50 off, so relatively substantial.
Yeah.
And you could just find something, and I used those coupons and I bought some random things. Right after purchasing, I get an email, and the email is like, hey, you have used your coupons and sales. Yay, here's how to get more of these. And it kind of creates a vague idea for how to continue gaining traction and continue gaining sales and getting more $50 coupons and things like that.
So essentially, TikTok is getting free labor from you.
Oh, wait, it gets better. Oh. So then I get an email. Looks like your samples are about to arrive. Again, hey, if you want to get more, here is the best way to go about doing so. No pressure, but... And I'm like, that's interesting. That it's already kind of encouraging me to make videos, and I haven't even received the product yet. Well, they were on top of the tracking, because the next day products arrive. I get another email, and the other email breaks down in detail specifics on how to create the best sort of influencing video. As someone in the social media marketing world, it took me years to figure these things out. It took me years to sit down, understand how to create authentic content. First, I was kind of like, well, I'm a little salty. I worked really hard for that info, but hey, I am here for everyone using their influence. So the social media marketing influencing world is already notorious for gatekeeping.
Right.
So I'm like, get that information out there. I love this for you. However, there are two big issues with this. One, people aren't getting paid.
Right.
This is still asking you to create a video saying, hey, if you want more samples, you should create videos.
It is essentially free labor.
Yes. And I'm not kidding when I say that the content level that they're asking for a video to highlight an organic interest and ask people to do, we're talking between a low end of like $600, high end of maybe like $2,500.
That's
and
how
that
much
that would be a normal quote.
That's how much a brand, company or a brand should be paying for what these people are asking for.
But they're not actually asking, remember, they are just suggesting. So for the most part, adults who are familiar with the creative industry will go, oh, okay, whatever. I already know how to navigate this very blatant exploitation.
Right. Yeah.
Minors do not.
Yeah. And they're like,
people who are not familiar with the influencer business are going, are you kidding? I can get another $50?
And I think that people don't realize that if you are working with a brand and they pay you what you are worth to put out a well thought out advertisement, let's say, a genuine,
absolutely
connected advertisement that you are influencing other people.
Mm-hmm.
If you are getting paid well, they're still making money.
Yes.
From what they used to have to do. The idea that we're now going to skip that step and we're going to move to having children peddle our wares for free is kind of crazy.
It really is. On one hand, I'm all about it. Yes, everyone is an influencer, and I'm here for everyone stepping into that power to say I can influence other people's lives.
Sure.
However, that is legitimate work.
Yes.
Those emails were essentially the last nail in the coffin on my influencing career. I do not feel comfortable being a part of this machine that is exploiting children and people who want to do that. The idea that children undoubtedly are receiving those emails as well, it's really heartbreaking, honestly, because we're not even talking about the whole, oops, sorry mom, sorry dad, I did end up spending just a ton of money in the TikTok shop.
Right.
We're talking about, oh, sorry mom and dad, I know you thought that I wasn't on any social media, but I was, and now I've created multiple videos that have either gone off or potentially hindered the rest of my life because of things that kids say or things that kids do or doing something embarrassing, and they have affected everything.
I think of stories of creators that really burnt out and had mental breakdowns and really struggled because of this constant churning need to create content. And now those people are my age, and I think we know a little bit better, but you are going to see children coming into this space.
Oh, absolutely.
And do the same thing.
Children, there are so many get ready with me videos that feature preteens. Yeah, there are kids on TikTok. There are regular content creators who are kids. There have been conversations recently around adults who duet or stitch, which
link their video with another video.
Link their video and essentially promoting this.
Yeah.
But they're underage and it's weird. Right. And so their video, there are just so many ways a video can take off. We know the internet doesn't forget, but to be lured in by the prospect of free things or making money.
I mean, it's intoxicating.
Mm-hmm. We're already struggling with a whole lot of kids who say, I want to grow up and be a YouTuber. I want to grow up and be a content creator.
Yeah.
But this, I feel like it's really gross. I also don't know how to tackle it.
Yeah.
Whatever children are in your life are being targeted by this app. They are being exploited by this app, and they are being used. And it's fine to everyone.
Yeah. I do think that when we step back and you just think, who is getting the power, who is getting the money, who gets the actual, at the end of the day, win out of this?
Yeah.
It's not your child. It's you can so quickly just become a pawn, right?
So
on
fast.
The board of
and
somebody that doesn't, things that don't care about you.
And adults fall into this trap.
Right. And I think what's sad is that the internet can be a platform where you show your creativity. It can be a place where if you genuinely have something that you are growing, that you are learning, that you are possessing in and of yourself as your personhood, you can have the ability to put that out in the world. You can find your people. We've talked about how we like online friendships. We like there's abilities to do this where it creates connection.
There's just such a level of digital literacy that is needed for us as adults to be guiding both ourselves, but also younger people in this.
And we're not even going in this episode about predatory problems and children on the internet.
If you want another episode
we're going to do
that.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
That's a way heavier one. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I love TikTok. It's so funny. And, we have all these memes and jokes about sitting on opposite sides of the sofa and sending each other videos. And I like TikTok. I enjoy what it brings. I enjoy as a parent.
I find stuff all the time. I have a folder in my Instagram and in my TikTok where I save videos that I sit down with the boys and we go over these funny videos. I do use it like a search engine to find interesting things that I then share with my children.
It's just children are being exploited, children are being used, and we're kind of just missing it. No one wants to sit down and go, cool, can't wait to learn about TikTok Shop.
Right.
But it's something we kind of need to know about.
This is what Laura and I do in our relationships is we talk about the things that are affecting us, and it's something we want to do on the podcast is bring you guys into these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about a lot of different topics, I think, since we've been opened this up, and that's what we want this podcast to be, is a place where we get to talk about the things that we are interested in, the things we're carrying in our pockets, the things that we are thinking about. And I know this is something that Laura has thought about.
It was a huge turning point for me, getting those emails, understanding what's happening and going, I don't know that I want to be a part of this machine as a middle-aged white woman trying to sell anything, a culture, products. I just don't want to be pushing anything other than mental health.
The ability to get into something and then feel that something's wrong. There's a sinking sand feeling. This is not going well.
When you log into social and you're bombarded with horrific things happening around the world and you're going, okay, but send me that Amazon link. There's a bit of cognitive dissonance. And yeah, TikTok Shop is around, although a lot of people have been complaining about the way it feels very pushed. I mean, TikTok is not shy about hiding that They will push your video. If you link products, they will push your video.
There's going to be something else that comes along. There's going to be other ways that your children are going to be using the internet that we probably don't even think about now. It's going to change.
Yes. And this is also not a blanket concern. There are individuals and families and kids out there who are not on TikTok, not concerned about it, and that's great.
Sure. No access. Yet, they're living in a culture where children their age have phones, have access. So that does affect them. That's just the reality of living in a certain age at a certain time.
There you go. TikTok shop. And if you're an adult, please don't stitch, don't duet, don't interact with kids who are online. I mean, that feels like something I shouldn't have to say, but I'm just gonna trust that it's worth saying, okay? We've been going for a while. Let's do some pockets.
What's in our pockets today? My big thing right now is that I am stressed about, I'm in between these two stages right now as I am pursuing buying a shop, but then I've also had my own business that I've mostly done through Instagram. And I am sitting between the two, and I can't quite figure out every day what I'm supposed to be spending time on. And I'm learning a lot about being in between. So I'm trying to remember not the goals, it's who I am. And I'm just doing a lot of thinking about that. That's my big thing. Little thing. My child needs to dress up as a dwarf from The Hobbit at a party, so I've got to make a costume. So this morning I was at the thrift store. I got a bunch of pieces. We're going to throw together a costume. I love a costume. I love a costume that just gets made from a mismatch of other things. So yeah, that's what my next few days are going to look like.
Let's see. Big thing. Summer camps. It is February, and I'm behind on summer camps. And that makes me so irrationally angry as a business. I totally understand. Summer's only a few months away. I totally understand why in our world, in our calendars, I understand why we have to focus now. But to be behind on registering my children for camps that aren't happening for another 6 months is bonkers. It's just, and then also lining up everything about the summer. And maybe this is just the norm, and this is just the new normal of being a parent at this stage, that I should have done this last year, but I didn't. If you wait till May to put your kid in a camp, RIP. Not gonna happen. And so that's just really frustrating, just the way that women hold the mental load. I feel like I just got done with Christmas, and immediately I'm having to think about summer camps. I'm behind on kids' birthdays, and I'm just like, what is this? And why are women expected to do these things? And of course, that's a generalization, and I'll probably just wrap up so that way I don't go into a full-on rant. But it's just, there's a lot of expectations on women to be a super parent when it is just seemingly impossible.
Do you have something small?
I have to run to Costco because I forgot something. And when you go to Costco, it is just a mental place you have to be at, because it feels like everyone who enters into Costco, they walk through the door and they're like, today is the worst day ever and I need to get out of here. And everyone's going way too fast with their carts and just it's just a little intense.
Costco's a lot.
So
Costco makes me believe in zombie apocalypses.
That used to be one of my biggest fears. Not necessarily apocalypse, just specifically zombie stuff. Yeah. That's really all I got there. I'm not gonna go into it because it's zombies. So now that we've talked about all the things with TikTok shop, all the things in my pocket, all the things in Abby's pocket, and bonus zombie.
Just the little zombies in there.
That is it for this week. We want to know what you guys have in your pockets.
Follow us on Instagram and on TikTok at It Has Pockets Pod. And we also have a website. We'll have all of that linked in the show notes. So,
oh my gosh, the amount of DMs, you guys, the DMs that we have gotten have been absolutely beautiful. Thank you for this, because we have gotten nothing but incredible support. The way that we are getting messages from people saying that this resonated with them is just...
This is our first time to actually be
And it's just
producing a podcast after we know how it's kind of hit people's ears,
I
guess.
And we're kind of getting our groove a little bit more. It feels a little, you have made us feel very, very welcome in this space. And it is scary to take a step to change things up. Just cannot thank you all enough.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later.
Have a great week. Bye. We love you.